Hi everyone, Scraptail is back. A lot has happened over the last few months. I could talk about it for hours, but I don't want to waste your time, so here's a quick update of everything that is in the game right now. Stick around to find more about our journey to get here, as well as our plans for the future. So this is where we left off on the previous devlog, and this is where we are at now. Addressing the obvious elephant in the room, art and design have been getting a lot of love lately. From concept art to 3D modeling, we've got a couple more people on board who have just been killing the game lately. We got a new logo, a bunch of concept art, the design of levels has been moving much faster, and the 3D models are coming in now, which is very exciting. We are now working on a demo that takes place during Scraptail's first heist after she got her new tail. We will be talking more about this setting on the next devlog. Combat has received a massive rework and now feels much more responsive, heavy, and fun to play around with. AIs have been reworked countless times over the past few months. They still need a lot of love, but they're getting there slowly but surely, I hope. The detection system has been redone and it is now much more responsive and explicit in terms of letting the player know what the AI is actually thinking. We also added alarms, which definitely have their quirks, but do add that sense of urgency to, oh shoot, I gotta stop that guard from activating the alarm, or else you're just going to get swarmed by other guards from all over the level. Platforming has also been a big part of development, and now we have tight ropes, climbable pipes, trampolines, edge grabbing, and more. This is also an area of development that we are really trying to perfect, but it hasn't been easy if I'm being honest. It all comes down to some very fine details that we are still trying to figure out, but then we have to test them, tweak them, test them, re-implement them, test them, etc., and it takes up a lot of time. In the proof of concept that we worked on, Vivian, the main character, had to drop her loot at a drop zone. We likely won't get rid of this mechanic completely, but in this demo we've decided to go with a fencer NPC to which Viv has to talk to in order to fence her loot. If she delivers the main target of the heist, then she is free to leave or continue exploring the level for more loot and quests, and that is entirely up to the player. There is no repercussion, only rewards, unless you die, and then in that case then there are some repercussions. We've implemented an actual mission system now which reacts to what you do in the world instead of just being a debug UI in the corner of the screen, so hopefully this helps guiding players a lot more easily towards their goal in the heist. This is all we have in the demo right now, so I wanted to get that out of the way, but there are lots of other things that we've been working on that will not be shown in this demo, and so have been put in the back burner. But I wanted to showcase them nonetheless for those of you that want a sneak peek behind the scenes. For those of you that don't know, I have been making updates semi-regularly over on itch.io in our itch page. That is going to change, but more about that at the end of the video. These updates on itch showcase quite well what we have been working on over the past few months. For those of you that want to know more about our development in depth, then please go check them out, they're still there. For this video, I'm just going to make a quick recap of the mechanics that I want to talk about. Quick note, some of these changes have to do with the tail extension upgrade, and so I'm just going to refer to that as TE for tail extend. So for example, the player can TE to this point. We added shakes and effects to the tail extension to improve the feel of it. Hanging points that the player can TE to, kind of like a lookout point. They cannot move there, just jump out to another place. Chains. A few months ago, I had the idea of giving the tail parts an extra flair by giving them chains that the player could work for. So, for example, for the extendable tail, the player could make chains of extensions which would give them a little speed boost with this QTE that you see on the screen. For the sharp tail, it could be a kill chain where the player had to kill enemies without being hit. Stuff like that. That idea has been shelved for now, but I really want to go back to it eventually. We began implementing save files and adding some extra stuff to the heist tab, which will likely not be in the first demo, unfortunately. Things such as loadout options, where you can pick your parts and gear. There was also this tutorial that I worked on for a while, but it just really didn't work out, which is when I decided I need some help on the design and art department. But during this tutorial development, I managed to tweak and perfect a lot of movement values, added sleeping enemies, which could be a fun mechanic, improved how vents worked, how pickpocketing works, how items in general work, what direction we wanted to take the platforming, etc., etc. It was a time for experimentation and really laying down the foundation of the game. The tail is still my biggest nightmare. I've had to rework it many times, but it is now at a point where I am okay-ish with it. A lot of work went into that. We added energy to the tail as well so that the player can't just spam it. This energy is based on the effort that the player puts on the tail. So if you TE to a nearby hook, it is not going to cost you as much as it would to TE to a hook on the other side of the map. This also means that the tail no longer has a range per se. The more energy you have, the more range you do as well. And this can apply to a lot of stuff in the future, not just range, which I think will lead to some fun mechanics. Over the past month or so, we've really just been grinding down the feel of the game. No more new features for now. We are just improving what we already have to the T. And I believe that that will be the case for the rest of the game as well. We've written down a list of what we want in the game, and unless some things just really don't work, then we will not be adding to or removing from that list. Like I mentioned, for the future, we really just want to improve what we already have. The only things we want to add are things that will help the game be more clear or explicit, such as cutscenes and new types of dialogues and pop-ups. We're still researching that. If you want to keep up more closely with what we are doing, starting next week, patrons will have regular updates on what we are doing, as well as lots of behind the scenes. If Patreon is not your thing, no problem, as we will put out devlogs every 2 weeks from now on to update you on what is happening. That is all we have for today. It is awesome to be back. Let us know what you thought in the comments. We will be down there replying to all of them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.